Cherrytown was built beside the airport to capture tourism. Instead, the terminals are absorbing every available worker in the area, leaving the hotels, shops, and restaurants running on skeleton crews. Businesses are already threatening to break their leases. To make matters worse, Cherrytown is located at the absolute end of our service lines, which means garbage trucks are full before they even reach the district. Interim Commissioner Tess Mercer knows the district needs thousands of residents immediately, but the county is broke, and the current infrastructure is barely holding together. Too much density would push the city's fragile systems past their breaking point. So she calls the Linwood Development Group, Lithia Bay's largest builder, and puts a deal on the table. The county will unlock a tract of protected land and fast-track the permits if Linwood agrees to break ground on some low-density development immediately. The CEO, Lionel Linwood, calls the project a civic duty. Since his name is already on half of the Little League jerseys in the county, the public believes him. So today, we're going to carve out a new subdivision for workforce housing, build some bike infrastructure to improve mobility, add in some new local services like waste management, fix a whole bunch of problems along the way. Let's jump in. Alright, so the first thing I want to tackle is developing this land right here, right by the river, and we're going to have 3 levels to this. So our first level will be right here at the top, and it's going to be our southwestern medium density, exactly like what we have right here. Then we're going to use an alleyway, and we're going to follow along either the second or third contour line, and we're going to wrap that all the way around. Then we'll use this custom zoning type right here, and I'll talk more about that once we get there. Then last but not least, we have a big lack of labor over here. And I know I want to get some type of path in that'll follow along the water and connect in somewhere around here. Ideally, it's a bike and a pedestrian path, but we'll see how much room we have. After we're done that, we'll move on to our next area. And I'm noticing that our waste management is getting worse. I would love to add in some city services right now, but I want to make sure we'll have enough money for development. So we're going to do that once we have a bit more cash flow. Now, first things first, I want to take an alleyway road and run it along this contour right here until we get to these trees. Now I want to start thinking about this area right here, and the way we're going to do that is by adding a bridge from this road across, and we'll end that right here. Because without that connection, the development in this area would be pretty disconnected and they'd rely on this road and this bridge. So we'll get to work on a bridge, and I just want to snap right into the middle. Now I want to get our bridge segment to be at a 0% slope, and that right there is perfect. And now we just want to gently drop down, and negative 5.4% is perfect. Now I want to pull some connections from our main roads, so we'll start with this one right here. Now for zoning, we're going to do this quick and dirty. So we'll have our southwestern medium density housing, and we're just going to zone 2 units deep. And the reason we went too deep is because then we'll have enough room to add parking behind all of these buildings and still add more zoning on the main road. Well, at least I hope. It's not really looking like we will. We'll find out in a second. There is one big thing that I want to do. I want to go through and lock all of these buildings. I really don't want anything taller than this, and I think this actually leveled up, and I'm not even sure where it came from. This is North American mixed housing, but I'm pretty sure the only thing here was the brickworks. So that's definitely not ideal. This is a little bit too big for this area, and that's just so much better. Anyways, I'm gonna go through and quickly lock every single one of these. And now that that's done, we're finally ready to run some parking behind all of these buildings. Now, the only thing I don't like is how big these parking lots are. So we're just gonna go with our one-way perpendicular parking alley. We're going to snap onto the back of all these buildings. And in this case, because it's connecting into a main road, we're going to take the parking away from this side And now we're pretty much going to do that for all of the buildings right here. We had to deviate just a tiny bit right here, so we used the slightly wider parking lots, and that's just because I'm not making a connection into our bridge. Now I see some traffic lights that I really want to get rid of. Just such a weird thing to have traffic lights with an alleyway. This one isn't that bad, but I find the vanilla traffic light system just really isn't all that intuitive, and that looks like we've gotten all of them. So now for the rest of this, we're going to step our densities down really heavily, and we're going to use the rezoned US Southwestern LDR1. And essentially what this is all the Southwestern properties, but visually they're stuck at level 1. So they can still level up to 5, but their appearance won't change. And I like that because it offers a bunch of variety that we currently don't have. There's still a few spots that didn't fill in, so we have this spot right here, and let's just go with some waterfront business. And then for areas like behind all these homes, we'll run another alleyway through. And then all we have to do is just add some more zoning for this road. Although this one looks like it's going to be tricky. So I'm going to open up platter with P. I'm going to set our category to low density residential. I'm going to specifically select our rezoned Southwestern. We're going to turn off all of our snapping modes and only enable snap to the sides of roads. And now we're ready to just go through and click. All we're really missing is some trees in the middle, and I think that'll come out looking really nice. We're going to leave this little plot of land open, just in case we need it for the future. Now next up we have the path, and I really did not leave enough room, just barely enough room. And I'm wondering how wide is our bike path? And I actually think that's pretty good. I think we're definitely going to go with our bike path, and we're going to connect that into this road. And now this is just going to wrap all the way around. And you know what? It didn't come out all that bad. I really like how it starts to curve around the water here. I made sure to add the quay wall because I really don't want to mess with the water too much. We have a few key connections we'll need to make, and I'd like to have a connection run from this pedestrian road into this path somehow. Looking at a direct connection, it'd be negative 11%. That's a bit rough. I think we can do better than that. All we need is a little curve there. And no, that still gives us negative 12% right here. So we're going to have to do a bit of grading. And we'll grab from this height right here. We'll get that nice and flat. And then we'll slope up to this height. And now when we branch off, there's 5% and there's 6%. It's not perfect, but I'll take it. And then to make this look a little bit nicer, let's throw a quay wall on the side. And now we have a respectable connection. Now I'm going to go through and do that all over. I'll try and make as many connections as possible. Alright, and there are a lot of connections which are really, really rough. Take this one for example, but I didn't want them to be spaced too far out, so I made some exceptions that I'll just have to live with. Down here, a connection into these ones was pretty much impossible. It was all negative 13%, and it looked even worse than this one right here. That's going to be a pretty steep drop, but I think it's best that we just ignore it and move on. Now I want to finish the zoning over here, and we're just going to throw some waterfront business down. And then to make these businesses fit a little bit nicer, let's put a retaining wall on this side of the path. And then we're just going to flatten this out. And then we're just going to slope up to each of these sides. And there we go. That is much nicer than what it was before. Now come to think of it, adding more commercial probably wasn't the greatest idea. And it seems like most of our icons have went away. Now our only problems are not enough customers and our waste management. Now, in the last episode, I had the idea that maybe the lack of labor was due to the constraints around transit. So we added in the bus line, and that bus line goes all the way around. Let's actually check in on it and see how it's doing. So right now we've got 9% and 23% usage. Honestly, that's not bad. It could be worse. But I received this comment from Old Lord Speedy, and they basically said, why not just add bikes? And I don't even know how that didn't cross my mind, to be honest. It's easily the most efficient and best solution. So let's quickly add some bike infrastructure. We're going to grab our double bicycle lane, and we're going to start that right here. And for now, we're going to pull this all the way down to here. And actually, I'm tempted to have it just follow the same path as our bus. The only problem is that once we get to this road, we can't actually add bike lanes to it. And so we have two options. So we could use a 2-lane road. The only problem is that it adds sidewalks. And I really don't think this is a safe enough road for pedestrians to be walking across. We could add a bridge. And if we're going to do that, maybe we position this right in the middle. Kind of like that right there. I actually think that looks pretty nice. It's maybe a bit over the top, but I think we can work with it. The only thing I wish is that it was also a pedestrian bridge as well. But since we can't do that, I think I can live with a little bike bridge. Now we need to drop this down to this zoning tile right here. We're not overlapping with anything, so I'm going to place that in. And then let's get a nice way down. And we want to run into these roads right here. And now when we add our bike infrastructure, they should have a way to turn directly into this road. So I'm hoping that'll work on this side. And it looks kind of crazy. Now what I'd like to do is branch this off from two different sides. And then all we need to do is drop our height down until we get something respectable. And that's not too bad. I'm wondering, does it collide with the bridge? And yes, it does. That is definitely going to be one interesting bike path. What that means is we'll need to drop down way sooner. Now, really the best way to drop down sooner to me would be to do it on this side and just completely ignore this side right here. And that's because on this side, we actually have enough room to do a loop. So I'm trying to get something respectable, and I think negative 5% is perfectly fine. Now we just need to drop our elevation down to 0. All right, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think it's bad, but I definitely don't think it's good. I blame this bridge. If this bridge wasn't here, the things that we could do would be unlimited. What if I'm looking at this the wrong way? Why do we need to do all this extra work when we could just connect directly into the bridge? Just like that right there. I actually don't think that's too bad. I mean, this still does feel a bit crazy. I don't know if this would happen in real life, but I think just this once, I can pretend that it would, because it does look kind of cool. Now, all we need to do is just complete our bike loop, and we're going to add some bike paths alongside our bridge. And we're also going to add them to the outside of this road. And that right there completes loop 1. And now for loop 2, we'll add them all the way down to this road. For something I improvised in the last second, yeah, you know what? It's not too bad at all. Now we're going to need some bike infrastructure here, so let's get some parking. And if I'm being honest, the current implementation of bikes kind of scares me. From what I've tested out, it seems like adding too much bike infrastructure can really slow down the simulation. And it's not like I don't want to add any. I would rather add bike infrastructure. I just don't want to destroy the simulation speed. So with that in mind, I'm going to go through and just add in a little bit of bike parking pretty much all over all of our commercial. It's definitely going to be a massive help for our lack of transit in this area. Sometime very soon, we will have a much bigger transit episode, and we're going to go over everything and improve it all. For right now, I want to get back to developing this tile right here, because we only have 8,500 per hour, and we definitely need to get that up a bit. I really want to pay off our loan. We still have about 1.5 million to pay off. So to help that, we're going to develop this little area right here, And first things first, I want to build our grid. I'm going to go about 6 units out from this highway road because I'm going to use this as a guide. And now using curved roads, we're going to connect all of these in. And the reason why I like doing this is because it'll give us a much more interesting grid once we're done. So now we're going to go out another 6 units. And then after repeating the same step of just connecting them all in, we get our base for our grid. Now we can delete all of these connections because we really don't need them and we definitely don't want them. And before we go any further, we should probably connect this road into somewhere. So we'll make sure to come in at a 90. And now we're just going to continue to build out our grid. I want to make sure there's roughly 2 units on each side for zoning. This area would be developed very fast and very cheap, essentially as a way to help boost the lack of labor over here. We only have one really big glaring problem, and that's the lack of connectivity into this grid. I really want to avoid pulling too many connections close to this curve. I definitely think we could add one right here, and then we still need at least one more. And I think the best spot for that is going to be right here. I just want to make sure there's going to be enough time to merge on from this road. That way we can prevent any accidents right here in this intersection. Now we will use a 3-lane two-way highway, and we're going to upgrade right in the middle. That way we're giving a turning lane. And I didn't really want to, but we might as well do the exact same thing on this side as well. Let's improve this just slightly. So we'll grab a 2-lane road. We're going to upgrade directly in the middle. And let's do the exact same for this road right here. And now I want to take our suburban 2-lane road. And again, I want to upgrade directly in the middle, except for on this side. I want to give just a bit more room, so I'll pull down. And we have a house burning down. I'm surprised our fire department... Oh, wait. Oh, of course our fire department can't actually access this because it's not in the district. Wait, then where did it say dispatched from? The France Firehouse. I don't even know where that is. Oh, that is not good. That is definitely not good. Let's set the operating district of this building to stay within the main city. And I think we'll actually need to extend this district just a tiny bit. And now let's quickly jump back over here so we can extend this district. And now our city services should actually be working for all of the new developments. Now this won't be a fancy district by any means. It's mostly going to be some suburban sprawl. So I'm going to use platter. I'm going to go through with 2x2 and 2x3, and we're just going to use our basic southwestern low density. And because these roads are so curvy, this is where platter is pretty much essential. And that's where we're going to call it for our zoning. We have a few open spots left, and I figured this one right here, we'll delete the road, and then we're going to get in a small elementary school. And we don't want it to front this road right here, so let's add it on Thornbury Street. And then I think it would be pretty reasonable for all the teenagers in this area to go to high school over here, other than the fact that our high school only has a capacity for 250 students. So let's add in our extension wing, and that gives us 450, but how many students are in this area? And yeah, we're not even close. There's 750 teens in this area alone. So if anything, even at 450, this still isn't enough capacity. So I think for the meantime, we're gonna have to ignore Cherrytown, and we're gonna come back over here, and we're gonna add another Eastern European high school. They don't have much capacity, but they are super cheap, and that's really what we need right now. We're going to place that right there. We'll pull it back a tiny bit, and let's actually add on a quay wall to the side of the highway. And that's mostly just to stop cars from crashing into the high school. You never know when a crash could happen near you. Now, before I get ahead of myself, we should probably assign this a district. Right now, the name is Spruce Brook. If you have a better name, comment it below. I honestly totally forgot to ask for Cherrytown. We did get some suggestions. I'd love to know what people think. Should we keep it as Cherrytown, or should we change it? Either way, let's set our elementary school to only operate in Spruce Brook. The interesting thing is that this elementary school is already full, but there's only 107 children in this area. So it seems like there's quite a bit of spillover happening from Cherrytown. And in Cherrytown, there's 1,300 children, and we only have a capacity for 1,000. But if we add on this extension wing, we're pretty much perfect. Now let's also assign the high school to Spruce Brook, and we might as well do Cherrytown as well. And that's because I really don't see there being too many teens. This is a fairly small area. Right now we only have 39, so we'll let the spillover happen. Now looking at some of our services, we're in a pretty bad place. We are just going to take our crematorium from Cherrytown, and we'll assign that here. We're also going to take this tiny little medical clinic, and we'll assign it to Spruce Brook as well. And that gives us very mediocre coverage. But until we have more money, that's pretty much all we can do. We're also going to assign our police station. And somehow our mail coverage over here is pretty good. Let's make that just a bit better. And I believe this is coming from our post office in our airport. So let's make sure we also assign this to Spruce Brook. We're also going to take our fire coverage and we'll assign it to Spruce Brook. And that right there is all of our basic services. We are now broker than when we started. And now we're officially in the red. That definitely hurts because there's no way we can let this waste management problem go on any longer. Our budget seems to be bouncing back and forth, so I'm going to spend a bit of time simulating, and hopefully once we're done, we'll be in a good place. Alright, and 30 minutes later, we have gotten quite a bit of money, but we're still significantly in the red. We have a crazy death wave right now happening in our main city. Our university burnt down, and things just keep getting worse. We still don't have enough for a recycling center, and I don't think we're going to get enough. So instead, let's just use this waste collection center. Now this does have air and noise pollution, so we're going to want to keep that in mind. We can see that it's all blowing mostly this way. And so I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll hide that back here, right on the edge of our tile, because all of the air pollution is going to blow directly up here into the mountain. So let's go into this back little corner. And this actually comes with some upgrades too, but we're losing so much money, I don't even think those upgrades matter. I'm going to use one of our rural highways. We'll snap right onto the front, and then let's just quickly curve our way into one of these roads. And now this should be getting power, sewage, and water. Okay, it should be, but it doesn't seem like it is. And I guess that's just because this 4-lane right here doesn't actually carry any sewage, water, or power. So let's upgrade this 4-lane with our rural 4-lane. And that right there solves our issue, and now we can see our garbage trucks going out. Alright, now we need to select our landfill and remove these districts right here from the operating radius. I really don't think that waste collection center is going to be enough. I'm hoping it is. And I feel like at most, what we can expect from it is Spruce Brook, Cherrytown, and the Lithia Bay Airport. I think anything more than that is just unrealistic. So we're losing $10,000 every hour. And yeah, we're losing so much money because we're not exporting as much power as we usually are. I also noticed that this building is complaining about mail. So if we just add a nice little mailbox right here, is that enough to make them happy? Things are not looking too good. Oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. There's so many people who are waiting for a hearse. Can we at least rebuild our university? 682,000? That's insane. All right, what about these little side buildings? 25,000 each? Yeah, that's not going to be our priority right now. And now our sporting goods store has a lack of labor. And to make it worse, not enough customers, we have way more icons now. I really thought we were done with this. I was really hoping we would be, but it seems like the problems just keep stacking up. Now, looking at our road maintenance, it's pretty much solid across the board. So unfortunately, they're getting the first cut. And look at that, we're making money again. Really, we just need our landfill to service our geothermal power plant. Once that happens, we should be making money again. So I was letting things simulate for a bit, and when I came back and sat down, I noticed we had $700,000. That doesn't make sense though, because the last time I looked, we only had 80,000-ish. So I have no idea where the other 620,000 came from. Our milestone is the exact same. It hasn't been that much time in game. I genuinely don't know, but I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. So let's add in some more death care. And we have our Netherlands crematorium. We just need to find a good spot for it. But what we could do is delete some of these houses because they already have a pollution problem anyways. And we'll need to rework our road layout just a tiny bit. Now we're going to set this to serve everywhere in the main city. I don't want to be picky about this. This is essentially a backup service. Now what we can do is come back to our waste collection center, and we're going to add on the waste collection truck depot, because that's going to give us 4 extra vehicles, and it should be a massive help. And I finally got good news. Our geothermal power plant is operating back at 98% efficiency, which means we are making money again. And another 1.1 million and we can finally pay off our loan. Unless something more catastrophic happens, which I almost feel like it's coming. Now we have went massively off track. What I was going to say a while ago was that we have 2 more plots left and we filled it in with our elementary school. And then we put down our high school, and I was going to get to, we're going to use this one right here as a park. So we're going to throw down one of these color plazas, and so we can save money. That's all we're going to do. That's going to be our park, but we'll also throw in a few gravel paths. Okay, now before anything gets worse, I'm going to transition to detailing. And for detailing, I want to ignore all of these icons right here. And in fact, we're also going to ignore these icons too. And instead what we're going to do is make this area feel very suburban, very sprawl-like. I forgot to place a bit of commercial here, so I'll get that done. And I want to spend most of my attention on this path right here. Right now it doesn't really feel too good, and I want to make it feel like it's beside a river. So this is where I'm going to spend most of my time. Now before anything gets worse, let's jump into detailing. All right, and that's where I'm going to call it for detailing. I started to get a little bit lost near this river, but then once I started spamming all the bushes and the trees, and you look down at it like this, I think it looks really nice. I wanted it to feel almost overgrown, and I feel like that's where it is right now. And would you look at that, another one of these buildings leveled up. I don't get how they're leveling up into these mixed-use housing. All right, now it's fixed, and I've locked all of their levels so they shouldn't have this issue anymore. And it looks like they're having some medical issues. I mean, we have a little bit of money to spare now. So we're going to place one of these small Netherlands medical clinics right off the side of this road. We'll set this to only operate in our new district, which means we can remove it from this one. And that should really help take off some of the pressure from this medical clinic. One last thing, what does our road maintenance look like? And it's actually not too bad. Can we bring this up to at least 75%? So if we set it to 70%, we kind of stay positive, and I guess that's where we'll leave it for now. Anyways, let's jump into a quick before and after. And that's a wrap. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed. Huge thanks to all of our amazing Patreon and YouTube members. Today's shoutouts go to Jake Hill, Gary Key, Deku, and Freya Stark, and to everyone else supporting the channel in any way. Seriously, it's really appreciated. If you want sneak peeks or access to the save files, you can join us over on Patreon or YouTube. If you haven't already, a like, comment, and subscription really go a long way. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.